everybody. Happiest of hell, what day is it? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hello to James as well, our fabulous co-host. Link is always in the description to subscribe to his channel. Please subscribe. Please subscribe to his channel.
Yes,
Please do.
please, pretty please.
He has a lot of good things going on his channel, and he has stuff outside of recaps, unpopular opinions, updates on all the latest celebrity stuff. So be sure to tap in. Let's support small creators and Black creators. But we're here to go over the foolery that is Basketball Wives, people. I'd like to remind everyone, as you see going across the bottom of the screen, all things discussed in this video are going to be opinions. They are not fact. They are for entertainment purposes, meaning they are the opinion of myself and James. I'm saying that now so that there's no need later to filter it. Not fact, okay? Alleged, all of that. I'm saying it now to cover myself because the way that we may go in may be a lot. Now, the first important thing is I do like that they gave this episode a pretty good title, Hot Mics and Spicy Drama. I thought that was cute. But I always feel like Basketball Wives when it comes to the reunions, like they put on like this whole big charade with the editing, making the intro look all special. And then it doesn't give as much, as you would expect. This reunion to me overall, before I get into it, felt rushed on the side of production or Shawnee. Shawnee wasn't even there, which is rare.
Well, let the church say amen on that one. Amen.
I have no complaints because it's like, we get that you created this show. It was your idea, but you're not a part of the show. You're somewhere in Texas with your pastor who is asking people $1,500 a month and a donation for him to build a new church. I will worship at home before I give
You
the
better
rent.
say that, friend. You better say that.
You don't have to go to church to love the Lord. You don't.
Sure don't.
You don't. It would be nice if you did, they say, but you don't. And anybody who judge you, just remind them of that scripture where they say only God can judge. Put on Tupac, do something. But right. I was glad to see that she's not there. So the first important thing outside of the fact that Shawnee's not there is Laura is sick and she's not there as well. And
were we expecting her to be there?
I don't quite. Yes and no. Did I care that she wasn't there? No, we got Laura for what was that? 3 episodes?
Yeah. I don't feel like that qualifies. Yeah. I felt like for me, there was no reason for her to be there. There was no reason for her to be there at all. I felt like she didn't do anything. There was nothing unless they want to talk about the book situation, but she said that's nobody's business and she would deal with Shawnee accordingly. So what the hell else do we need her there for? She wasn't doing anything.
Right. I feel like that's what they did though this season. They like included her in the trailer and she wasn't even there that heavy. Like, and I don't know why we had to see Laura Govan. I don't care about the Govans. Let them be wherever it is that they've been. Please. Please. Anywho, you guys, the person hosting this reunion, it's usually, I cannot think of the man's name right now, but he's a legendary basketball player. He normally hosts the reunion. This time we get Nina Parker, who is probably best known for the Love and Hip Hop reunions, even though she is a journalist with a degree. She is. I just feel the need to point that out because she does have lots of gigs outside of these ratchet reality shows. I've seen her in other stuff plenty of times, but I think she's good at hosting the reality shows because she's not scared to check with people.
Yeah. So John Sally was the guy you're thinking of that would usually host the reunions, and I know Mark Lamont Hill hosted a few seasons himself. So for them to get Nina Parker, I thought that was odd. So I'm wondering if Mark Lamont Hill just quit altogether and stopped doing it. I don't know what he's up to these days. I don't really know him that well either. So
he has been doing a lot. Now, for those who don't know, I love documentaries, learning stuff, watching informative videos. I am a nerd. I will watch PBS for fun. I'm weird. But I see him often in documentaries that I'm watching. And I've seen him lately commenting and hosting a lot of true crime. That's something else I watch. I'm just telling on myself. This my husband says it's weird.
Hmm.
I love true crime, but I can't help it. I don't love the crimes, but hey, the shit be entertaining. But yeah, I've seen him a lot in documentaries, like as a commentator. Seems like he's going more towards like the interactional
Hey, Shayna.
journalism. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Oh, I'm looking on his IG right now. Oh, okay. I
But he's
wonder.
been working. He's been getting the check. I feel like no shade to Nina Parker, but I feel like she was the more affordable option.
I wonder what side his bread is buttered
Oh my god.
on.
That was side the butt. I cannot. Oh Lord. So the first thing they discussed, which kind of threw me off, and that's when I knew this reunion wasn't gonna be what I needed it to be. They discussed Evelyn's PI, the private investigation BS. I say it's BS because if this is something you've always wanted to do, we surely would have heard you mention it, maybe season one, two. Evelyn's been on almost every season with the exception of a few. Well, I'm sure you would have mentioned that. I remember your little Duce store that you had in Miami. If this was your passion, why didn't you work to get your PI license with the basketball money instead of opening the little store that showed the sold shoes or whatever it did? That's not even there no more, by the way.
Well, first off, she ain't never had no customers at that store, so I don't know
We
why.
didn't see one.
I ain't seen one customer. I've actually been to the location of where her store is. I forgot. I think it's an ice cream place now. I have to go back to remember what it was. I think it's an ice cream place now, or some type of coffee. It's something like that. It's not a boutique anymore. But I remember thinking, damn, Evelyn ain't never have no customers. Now, mind you, she did have the store before Basketball Wives. It was like a week or two before she got on the show because she was promoting it that first season. But I just feel like, to your point, this is weird. It is strange that you now all of a sudden are pursuing this private investigation firm, and for what? You can't even do that with the men you are with. You can't even private investigate them. Carl Crawford was with a whole other woman and had a whole girl pregnant at the same time you got pregnant. So what were you investigating then? And then Chad Ochocinco was up and down the Louisiana Purchase with women, and you still couldn't even figure that out unless you were turning a blind eye to it because the money was coming in and the money was great with both of those athletes. The money was excellent. So I don't know if she was maybe just turning a blind eye, but that's a weird propaganda when you consider the way she moves.
I feel like she just turned in the blind eye. I also feel like a lot of the rumors about her. Listen, I'm a firm believer in where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, when it comes to these rumors about Evelyn allegedly being a side chick, I don't think they're just coming out of nowhere. She pissed somebody off. That's why it keeps coming up, and that would make sense in terms of the turning a blind eye thing because maybe she was like, "Whatever, I know."
Well,
I'm
word
sure.
on the curb, and this is allegedly. I know Shayna, we do. The word on the curb because he lived in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and at the time so did I. And word on the curb was that even with Evelyn and I think the other girl's name is Amy, I believe that's her name. He was married to a whole nother woman aside
Wait.
from them two. Word on the curb.
Oh hell! You know
Yeah,
what?
we didn't get that divorce until I think maybe if I'm really putting it in context, he didn't get that divorce till Evelyn came on Basketball Wives as his fiance. I think that's when he got that divorce, if I'm not mistaken, because they were supposed to get married and they never did. So, and that's alleged, y'all. That's allegedly. I'm just saying that's what word on the curb was in Phoenix. The whole athlete perspective is very small here because not that many live here, and the ones that do live here are mainly baseball kind of athletes. It's not really basketball. They live here, but it's not like the baseball ones. The baseball people, even after they retire, they stay here. So it's like, yeah, the word on the curb is that, yeah, that's what was going on. So yeah, you absolutely right. She has this very much side chick, or she gets men that are very unavailable, like to a point where like either they still dealing with a situation. Even if we take the wife aside, you still dealt with a man who had a whole nother baby coming.
Mm.
Like, come on, I'm not, yeah, Evelyn. So this whole thing about her wanting to be this private investigator, this private eye, whatever, Inspector Gadget, whatever she wanted to do, it's very silly when you think about how she operates. I wouldn't trust you. I wouldn't pay you to investigate anything for me.
Separate from that, she says she's getting her hours to do the PI thing. I don't believe that, just based on how she posts and things of that nature. But it would be very hard to be a private investigator if you are famous. We've seen this on Housewives of New Jersey, which is a show I recap if it ever comes back, with Bo Dietl, who was a private investigator that's friends with Teresa Giudice's husband. Now that his name's blown up, I have read somewhere and watched a couple YouTube videos on him crying about it. In fact, it impacted his business. Because with the PI, there's supposed to be like a certain element of stealth. How can you have that element of stealth and not being noticed when you're a literal celebrity? I people are going to know you're coming. I'm just saying. You might be good at looking stuff up, but you'd have to hire a team. But I don't know. Best of luck, Evelyn. Figure it out. I'm sick of her. I don't need her to come back next season. But we move on to discuss the whole issues with Evelyn looking up the information on Jackie allegedly being a hoe. Now, Evelyn says that she was not judging Jackie for allegedly being a prostitute. This makes no sense. How do you not judge someone when you dig up the information and share it with everyone with the intention to embarrass them? If you feel that there is an intention to embarrass her, that is you judging her for what she allegedly did. So I don't like the BS where it comes to the whole prostitution situation. I'm really over it. Jackie vehemently denies that she was never a prostitute. This is what she says. She was never a prostitute. And I about lost it, y'all, watching this on the ferry. I'm trying to tell you because then Brandy swooped in and was like, "Do you know what an actual ponderosa is?" And I didn't know where she was going because I didn't know what an actual ponderosa was. And Brandy explains that a ponderosa is where the pimps get their hoes together.
I didn't know that either.
What the hell?
I feel like that's some shit they just made up right then and there. Because I thought Ponderosa was a restaurant. Because
I
isn't
don't
there
know.
there is a restaurant in LA called Ponderosa, isn't there?
And in
Or
the
is that in
Bay
New York?
Area.
Oh, and but yeah, okay. So I thought that's what she was talking about this entire time. So when Brandy pulled that out her ass, I was like, well, wait a minute. That don't even make no sense. But look, this is
Now I'm looking
look.
online and it says it's a social lime or get together where planning or issues are discussed. Oh, wait. No, Brandy is correct.
Okay. Well, she made a fool of me because I thought she just pulled that out of her ass. I was like, Brandy, come on, that should not mean that because that sounds stupid. That sounds stupid to even say that, but hell, I guess.
Even so, the thing of it is, listen, they pulled up legal documents and the network is willing to show them on the show, which indicates that they are potentially legit. Whether she hoed or not, I don't really care. I don't believe you should shame people who are sex workers or who have been sex workers. That's just my personal view. But I know everybody feels differently, regardless or not. The shit in
Um,
California now, you're not gonna go to jail for hoeing no more.
I mean, you shouldn't go to jail for hoeing, period. But the thing
But
about it is that what would have validated this for me because I have a hard time believing it as well, even though there is court documents and everything. I didn't see a mug shot. And that was the only thing that was missing for me that would have been validated because I sort of believe Jackie. I do.
well, back in
Mm.
the day, that's a good point to bring up because back during that time, mugshots, there wasn't technology, so that was a big thing. I'm sure that there's a mugshot on file.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there is one too. I wish we got a hold of it. But even still, there's still ones that exist. That wasn't that long ago. So I feel like there's still one that exists somewhere. And I would love to see it just to make sure it's her. But at the same time, as I said, she didn't do anything different than the rest of you. She didn't do anything different. She just, you know what? She had to survive. Maybe she had to go through a couple of them just to see which one was going to stick. She's been married 4 times.
Mhm.
So, I mean, come on. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know who's vindictive
So
ass into the courthouse to report her.
even if, like, before we move on, even if every single thing was true and Jackie admitted it and all these things, I really want to make this clear. I don't give a damn about what happened in 1987. It is 2024. If this happened in 1992, I would not give a damn. If this happened in 97, I would not give a damn. Jackie would have had to hold like right before she got with Doug in order for me to care. I just
Even
don't.
then, I wouldn't care. Even then, because as I said, they had listen. Sometimes you women, y'all act like nowadays social media is there, so you can just slide in somebody DMs and get the party started there. But y'all act like them women did not go to them basketball games with mini dresses with no drawers on it, opening their legs in the stand so the men can see. Y'all act like that didn't exist. That shit happened in those times. That's how women got basketball players and got pregnant by them. So we're not gonna sit here and act like Jackie didn't do anything different than the rest of you.
Yeah, yeah,
It
I
was
agree.
different to Brandy because she knew Jason in high school. So I'm gonna give Brandy a pass. But the rest of y'all, no. Sorry.
I also like to add, when you get married, there's a form you fill out with your spouse. Now it's electronic, before it was not. And on that form, and before you do like the legal marriage certificate or license, regardless if you get married at the courthouse or not, they ask you in front of your spouse, and you got to tell the truth because otherwise they'll pull that shit up sometimes. But they ask you, are you widowed? Have you been married before? If so, how many times, and all of that? I'm not gonna lie, when I got married, I was looking at exactly what he checked. I'm staring. And like, give each other privacy. Fuck that. I'm watching this whole process. But I feel like Doug probably knows her past if she had a past. But at this point, Jackie deflects and she goes back to the bestiality claims. I don't
I
even know if
can
I can say
what's
that on
crazy is I can legally check no on that one. You can't pull up my marriage certificate. It's sealed by the court. You can't do it.
Well,
So
no, but if you are someone who's been married before and divorced, not with an annulment or anything like that, you're still gonna
no,
have to
even
answer.
if I divorced, even if that happened, you still can pull mine up. By California, it's sealed by the government. Can't pull it up. So technically, I still can answer no on that question. I actually asked about that because I was like, I don't want Michael B. Jordan to be like, "You ever married?" Because that shit didn't count.
Lord.
So I don't want him to ask, "Well, what happened?" It ain't none of your business. It happened 15 years ago. Don't even matter no more. That's why I said no, and I'm taking that shit to my grave.
Oh Lord.
So when
Well,
I
not
get
this
so when I
marriage.
need you, maybe delete this video because and I'll pay you for your compensation
I
because you
can't stand you. Not delete the video.
because there's evidence of proof. Y'all don't record this shit. There's
Oh
evidence of proof of
Lord
this. And so
Jesus,
you
help
feel like
him.
it's very. I don't need this haunting me.
Drink more water, James. Lord, apologies. We're back. We're back. We go get back. So that's good to know, though. That's good to know. The
Mhm.
problem is California constantly changing their fucking laws, and that's the truth. They change every other year. I didn't know until I was riding down the street in the town, and this was recent. I'm like, the hose is out here, the police is out, and nothing's happening. I was so confused until the person I was with was like, "Yeah, girl," because she still stays in the town. She's like, "Yeah, they it's decriminalized. They not getting in trouble for it." I said, "What?" The girl was waving ass in the street near a cop. I said, "Oh Lord." But anyhow, they then move on to discuss Jackie's recorded calls with Sunday Carter, who also used to be a cast member for like a season. Uh, Here's the thing, they go over all the calls again. Nothing Jackie said was a lie. Nobody cares about Jen's marriage because we don't want Jen to get married, but that's too late. You know, Evelyn is a hoe, allegedly. You know, the stuff she said about Brandy, I didn't condone that. But everything she said for the most part was true. Even the shit about Shawnee. She's narcissistic. She got to be the center of attention, but at the same time, she boring.
No, what she should have said is yes, Shawnee is narcissistic, but Shawnee is underhanded as hell. She does shit behind the scenes. Now that it was funny. Now that she's married to this pastor, I now see her differently, and I go back and watch the old seasons of Basketball Wives, and I look at shit differently now with her. Yeah, she's narcissistic and underhanded. It's not that she's obvious. She doesn't want to be popular in an obvious way. She wants to be popular underhandedly, where it doesn't make her look dirty when she does something. Like when you think about how she used to do Tammy, like, yeah, you are definitely underhanded with that shit.
That's what Tammy said too. Tammy do not
Mhm.
deal with her no more, and she is firm on it. She not speaking about her. She just don't deal with her.
I
And
would
it's interesting. The show has suffered a lot since Tammy left, in my opinion.
Well, it had. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna say it suffered a lot when Tammy did leave, but that last season that Tammy was there because she wasn't really interacting with anybody, it
Yeah.
suffered then too as well because she wasn't trying to be what we know her to be, and that's what was so entertaining about her.
Mm,
I think there was only one season I did not like Tammy. Two. There's two seasons I didn't like Tammy. Miami, that's season 4 where she took that girl's purse. I didn't like her then.
yeah. Yeah. I
And
didn't like
then
that.
that season when her and Duffy got into that fight, I didn't like her then either.
Yeah. I
So
didn't.
yeah, that's when I didn't like her because it was kind of like, okay, you showing your ass, and then VH1 protected you because Duffy knocked the shit out of you and gave you a knot on your head, and you act like because they edited that fight that shit didn't happen like that, but she clocked you. Go watch the unedited version of that fight. Duffy popped the shit out of her. So and y'all can say, well, security was supposed to. So was Brandy. Brandy big old ass was right in front of Duffy, and Duffy couldn't get around her either. So y'all can miss me with that shit.
You ain't never gonna live that scene down.
Nope.
But we agree. That's the thing. We do agree. Like everything Jackie said for the most part was true, and she could have said more. James is right. But Brandy comments about the stuff that Jackie said about her, you know, not being able to make a child, which I didn't feel like that was okay, especially understanding Brandy's story and the fact that she is a cancer survivor. And it did impact her ability to, make children and be fertile. And that's okay. But uh things get heated between Brandy and Jackie. Jackie starts speaking about her husband, and that's where she kind of loses it. And there's like a slight moment of physicality. Let me explain something. Why did they sit these women next to each other? And I don't want none of my friends, not my best good friend. I don't care who you are. Don't have your hands in my face. Don't swat at me. I didn't like any of it. If I have to snatch someone's hand away from my face as Brandy did, I'm just gonna take off on you. I don't have that level of maturity yet. Cause why? Why? So I understood why things got heated, but at the same time, I feel like Brandy, you need to pick a lane. You're upset because Jackie, spoke about your husband, right? And everyone on the cast has spoken about your husband, but then you also are saying you don't even know if you want to be with your husband. So can you pick if you gonna just be with this man and love him and defend him and stick to that, or start the process of leaving him and stop defending him? Why are you getting so mad she bring up the husband? You didn't cheat with 300 people, he did. And if you're so mad about it, then leave, because clearly it bothers her. If you was
I,
healed, that would not be the reaction. That's just how I feel.
I agree, and this is what I'm gonna say about this. She shouldn't have went on Iyanla Fix My Life. And the only reason why I felt like she did that is because she was confident that he only cheated the times that she thinks he's cheated. She was so confident, but when Ayanna broke that shit down and that shit actually aired, she's embarrassed by it. So she's with him to save face because you knew you weren't going nowhere when you got on that show. And
Yeah,
after you got off that show, you knew you weren't going anywhere. So
yeah,
now you're embarrassed the fact that, as I said, I don't believe all 300 women were on her clock. I told y'all this. I don't believe that. Now I'm gonna give her a good because he said he slept with over 300 women. So I'm gonna give her half of that. I'm gonna give that maybe throughout the time of their marriage, maybe 150 where the
James, I want
skeletons
you to
are.
stop dividing this shit like an equation on my channel. He says this 150 bitches. You are not helping anybody. That just reminds us that even if you cut out 50% of 300, he's still fucked. Not one, not two, but 150 women. Wild bear. I don't know how she stays. I would be afraid for like the pH of my snatch. I would go report his ass to Department of Public Health as a fucking health risk. I would be I would want to be tested for every STD every single month until I felt healed. I would need not a
Right.
therapist, I need a clinical psychologist in LCSW. I need a care team at this point. There's no way in hell
To
150
me,
different bitches and you was fucking her too? And he was
that's
sucking.
all. No, I'm just saying all 350 could have been under her clock. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I agree with what you just said. There's no way. If you have to cheat on me that many times, you don't love me. You don't
I
love
feel
me.
like he might have done some of that too while she had cancer, and she seems to use that as part of the reason she stays. She has said this multiple times in interviews, confessionals. He was there for me when I had cancer. He shaved
Okay,
his
but
head. I was like, girl, that don't mean nothing for a man to shave his
that
head.
does not mean anything if his actions during the time of him being there was he still was being an adulterer. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
That to me is
See,
a cop out. That to
that's
me,
the worst time to cheat.
yeah, that's the worst time to do it if that's when he did it. But the problem that I have with Brandy is that you're making yourself insufferable behind this because
Mm,
at the end of the day, I would be questioning whether or not you loved me. And then I guess I'm going to bring this on national TV because you know what? You shouldn't have told Iyanla that you did all of that
mm.
and publicly humiliate me. So now it's get back time. Yes, I'm about to publicly humiliate you because at the end of the day, I didn't tell you to go and sleep with all those damn women. As I said, I'm
Right.
only gonna give Brandy half of that shit. So realistically, half of 350 is not 150, is 175. But you know, I'm gonna
Don't
be
say
nice. I'm gonna be nice. And
stop
I'm gonna say,
calculating.
I don't, because me, I can't. Because where would you have time to
He
really
had
sleep
to have
with
been
that
doing
many
it.
women? And then she gets mad when people bring it up. It's like, well, man, y'all put that shit out there. If y'all didn't want people to know, or if y'all didn't want people to know the number, then you shouldn't have went on y'all to fix my life. And Brandy, I blame Brandy for this because I know they went on her courts. I know this was not Jason's doing because he's too quiet and too
He don't
soft.
want to be on TV.
Yeah, he didn't want his shit to come out like that. So I really feel like that was on her course, and she knew he had a problem, but I think she was trying to get something else fixed. I don't think the cheating was part of the deal, but oh well, that's what the part of the problem is, right? So for
Mhm.
her to get on this reunion and be like, everyone has, Evelyn, Jackie, everybody's weaponized that against me. And it's like, well, ma'am, had you not put it out there, they wouldn't have it to attack you with. And a
Well,
lot of the reason why we
since
feel that you are angry is because of that.
so
And I
since we're
would
on the topic of Brandy and we pretty much talked about what happened with her, I'm gonna
Mhm.
just skip the scene and go so that we don't have to come back to this girl's marriage because I'm this between the Max Seals and the Frost. I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. These couples are a horrible example of love of any race and an embarrassment. I can't. I'm sorry. But Brandy says that her son gets upset now because he's at the age where he's, YouTubing and understands reality TV and things of that nature. And now his son gets extremely upset when his friends Google like what his dad did or people use it to throw in his face at school. That is so sad. That's really a shame. And there's no way for him to escape it because he's named after his damn dad. There's no way for him to escape it. But I thought that that was really sad. Brandy does confirm she believes in divorce, but she says that she wants to exhaust all options first. Brandy, the Bible says that adultery means you could leave. Separate from that, I understand you've been with him since high school. I get the difficulty of separating from someone. I've been with my husband since that long, but girlfriend 175 or 150 or 300, either way, more than one person, even one is too many when it comes to cheating.
Mhm.
Like, you cheat on me once, we got problems and you likely gone. So I just, for him to do it so many times,
Right.
I feel like she's exhausted all options. She's lived with him. At one point, she left and didn't come back to the show to be with him. She supported his career. They've gone to therapy. I mean, clearly, you've exhausted all options, so just leave him. Don't you feel like she's exhausted her options, James?
I mean, no, she didn't exhaust. She's beyond exhausted. She has dehydrated those options. They are shriveled up and dry. Man, if you don't cut this shit out, look, Brandy, you're not happy. You're not happy. And it's unfortunate what's going on with your son and the fact that he has to, endure and be open to his father's skeletons in the marriage with you. That is so unfortunate. And I feel for her child because I wouldn't want to hear that on any of one of my parents. But I'm gonna keep the shit real. You're not doing your son any favors by staying married to his father. What you're teaching your
That's
son
right.
is if he gets into a relationship, either someone can treat him the way his father treats you, or he can just accept just to stay with some person, even if he's miserable. That's what you're teaching your son by staying with his father. You have to teach children, regardless if their parent, if you're married to their parent or not, you have to teach children that you don't stay in one place unhappy. That's not the point of marriage. Yes, you're going to go through ups and downs. Yes, you're going to be put in compromising situations. Yes, you have to do work in marriage. Absolutely. But what we're saying is when someone cheats on you, you don't just stay. And then when someone keeps from you that they have slept with over 300 people while potentially in the marriage with you, and you just stay because one, you're scared to go out there on your own or whatever the case may be, where you want to fight for your family, that family has been trivial. Y'all will always be family, but y'all ain't got to be a family together. I don't get what she doesn't get about that.
I think the bigger lesson, though, is by staying, she's subjecting baby Jason to
Yes.
not seeing that there are consequences and repercussions for everything
Yes.
that you do. He now knows that his father has done this, right? But
Hmm.
where's the consequence? Where is it at? It does not, the
Yeah,
limit does
because
not
because
exist.
if he was, God forbid, if he were to do it when he got grown, I don't know the average woman in today's time that's going to stay with a man cheating with her with 300 women. I don't know the average. Brandy, as someone said on IG or wherever you got that from, Mrs. Best, she's
She's
stronger than
stronger than
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
She is
Hmm.
stronger than Harriet Tubman because there's no way. Absolutely. When I tell you, look, I might could overlook one, depending on what the circumstances was. I might could overlook one.
Kirk ain't even cheated with that many admitted. And if he has at least smart enough to keep that to his fucking self. That's what I will say.
Absolutely.
Oh
Because that would
God,
be
pray
crazy.
for us. We
First of
gotta
all, I
talk
wouldn't
about
believe him if he did say that he did with that many. I wouldn't believe it.
not with that neck,
No, no,
not
no,
with that Adam's apple and that
no.
face and that
There's he's
hairline.
not attractive. Jason ain't even attractive enough to even do all of that either. But
He's
what I'm
not.
saying is,
He has more
I
money than Kirk,
definitely wouldn't
though.
believe Kirk would do no, no. I wouldn't even, not even 100 women. I wouldn't even believe that. He's probably
Okay,
gonna get a good 10.
that's why he impregnates women and cheats often with allegedly whenever he can because he knows that he is not a catch, so he just take what he can get. But moving on, you guys, I'm not going to discuss this too much. Yes, I'm going out of order. Sue me. Uh, the ladies, for some reason, after the whole Jackie thing with Brandy and all of that, for some reason they made peace. Ain't no way I'm making peace with a bitch talking about my husband and my ability to make kids. But okay, Brandy, do what you got to do for your check. I see you. But they move on to ask Jacille how she feels about everything that was heard on the recording that Jackie made. And Jacille, she was mad because Jackie made comments about her voice. It's not your accent. I actually think the accents in the South, especially Mississippi and New Orleans, are the best. I love them. she just sound like she really needs a Halls, or like an Altoid, you know. That's it. Some tea. She needs hot tea. That's how her voice sounds. She's got a raspy voice. It's annoying sometimes because that's all. Jaceel, some people find my voice annoying. Hell, it's get over it.
Right?
That's what
Like,
you.
yeah, I
That's
got
what
the
you
same
man do.
issue. I got the same issue, Jocelyn. People say I need to drink some lotion. So at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. It really
Right?
is.
Please listen. Either build a new cast around Jaceel because she's here, and you can keep her to build a new cast and see if she does better with people closer to her age. I'm not trying to throw shade. Genuinely, I'm not, y'all, but all of these women have in common the fact that they are somewhat near each other in age, with the exception of Jackie and Jennifer. They closer together in age. But outside of that, like I'm moving on. Jackie, of course, denies recording people. I'm not going to go over that too much. They caught her red-handed trying to record her. But I did agree with the comment that Nina made to the ladies. She was right when she said that Jackie and Evelyn are one and the same. The only difference I see is Jackie is funny as hell and goofy. We can't take her seriously. Evelyn really be getting mad when she does messy stuff. Like she didn't start the shit herself. So I agreed with Nina Parker with that. Jackie and Evelyn can be similar in their own different ways. Did you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Oh,
I felt like I agreed that think metaphorically they are the same person. Like I get where she was going with that. But to me, I feel like the intent behind I think Jackie does it for entertainment purposes and Evelyn does it to slug and dig and bury you. Like it seems like it's way more personal. So that's why I said that, yeah, I agree with what she's saying because metaphorically, they like, yeah, they are the same person. But I feel like the intent behind it was different. I think Jackie really was, trying to just to be funny, especially with the conversation with Sunday. Because I don't. That's why I think she's mad at Sunday, and I really don't think, aside from Brandy, I'm gonna say aside from Brandy, I really don't think that she was calling the other women the things like just kind of to be entertaining, be funny with her girlfriend. I don't think it was out of any type of malice. But Brandy shit, I can't defend that. I can't defend her saying that Brandy needed to either get a divorce or have another baby,
well,
knowing
she
that
could have
she
left it at the she needs to get a divorce, and we would have championed that. But
right,
I don't think you should speak on anybody's fertility
yeah,
for
that's what she
women
also
and men. You just
yeah.
don't speak about it. Like that's something
Mhm.
what they say is uncouth. It's kind of like don't talk about politics at the dinner table. Like,
Right,
like
because the shit she said about Brooke, I agreed with. I did. I'm sorry. I know people be like, no, that's messed. No, it's not messed up. I
well, I
believe.
think a lot of people now feel like Brooke did to some extent use her children for a check. And we will get into that because that's who we actually about to discuss.
Oh,
Uh
okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you was gonna talk about that. Yeah.
yeah, I took good notes, unfortunately. Anywho, they move on to discuss Brooke's dating life after her divorce. We barely saw Brooke married, and when she was married and allegedly all happy with the man, he was never around. So I kind of had a feeling her marriage wouldn't last. I'm glad to see that she does not put up with cheating. I thought that was a good way to stand up for yourself, especially on television. Be the example, as they say. Now, Brooke claims that she's open to whatever with dating because people are like, "You was moving too fast." She's like, I'm just down. If we dating and we vibe and you want to get engaged, we'll get engaged. Rip, she's a walking red flag to a certain extent because that is the most irresponsible thing somebody with all these kids would say at her big age. Like,
It just means that she walks around very empty. For her to
yeah,
think that if you could meet someone in a short span period of time and then want to get engaged and then potentially get married because you feel like you're in the latter years of your life and that's what you're supposed to do when you've already been married. Like I could
right.
see if you've never been married and you've never, had children. I can understand to some degree why you would feel like there needs to be more hindrance on the rush. uh,
Mhm.
meeting somebody, getting married, and wanting that future. I can understand that. But that's something you've already done. Your kids are grown. You've already been married to someone who you divorced from because you said he cheated. So it's obvious that throughout some point you ignore red flags too. So I feel like for her, it's just it's there's a part of her that is unsafe. And maybe that's, her discernment. Maybe that's something. Maybe she just really does like it. Maybe her and Jennifer are more alike than they want to admit. Because
I I agree. I think the only difference between those two, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, is one has street smarts and the other doesn't. I really think that is the only difference.
that's up for question.
But I did appreciate Jaceel saying to Brooke, like everybody thought she was moving too fast because she tried to make it seem like, like it was just Brandy or something who did and said the wrong thing. And I appreciated Jaceel for at least saying that because Brooke was moving too fast. It didn't make any sense. Now, we then learned that she is again dating someone new. We don't care, Brooke, so keep it secret. She wants to keep it a secret. Listen, when somebody loves you, that's one thing I can say from a couple years of marriage and still being smitten. Like, if someone cares about you, they gonna love you out loud. Like it's not about posting them every single day and going on constant trips and trying to like flex and flaunt, but like the love is out loud. They may not be a part of the show, but you may catch them on camera here and there, kind of like Doug for Jackie or Jason for Brandy. Like to some extent, like they're not gonna be hiding you or want that. So if you feel the need to hide your spouse, like Brooke, just please stop dating on this show. Please. That's what I'm going to say. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think I ripped Brooke to shreds as much as I'm going to do it because y'all have to understand. I don't like Brooke at all. I feel like to me she's very pathetic, and I really feel like I'm tired of watching the same shit with her. I need her to do something different. I need her to either get a trade or I need her to sew some clothes. I need to see something else other than this dating and her children. Her children are absolutely beautiful, and I just really wish that she do something different next season. I don't care what it is. Go back to modeling. Do something else. If you come back next season, Brooke, please do something else because I don't want to see this no more.
Collaborate with Josh Seals since Brooke had her cosmetology license as well. Like there's a lot that she can do, and I think that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
open you up a salon. That's perfect. I forgot
But
about that. Yeah, open you up a salon.
it's hard to find the time when you're under the knife a lot, though. So, you know, there's that. But they move on to ask Evelyn why she threw what Jason has done with the cheating and Brandy's face at every argument that they had, even if it had nothing to do with Jason. Evelyn looks at her and has the audacity to say it's because she don't like Jason, but you all know him. And she then says that it won't happen again. And they ask how Brandy feels about this, and I loved her response. She said, "Well, I've already accepted 4 different apologies from Evelyn on this matter. Let me tell y'all something about Gemini's. We'll give you time after time. We are very forgiving, but there does come to a point where, like, once we done, we really done, and you could tell like she's done. She don't want to argue with her or nothing. Like she seems pretty over it with Evelyn. I think she sees when someone throws your marriage and something that's painful in your face that many times at any opportunity, you'll never trust that person. Even if she divorced Jason, she'll never trust them because it's just the delivery from Ev was like not necessary. So they move on to Brooke, and I was actually surprised that Brandy checked her for that because I've been saying it the whole season on these doggone recaps. Why, Brooke, are you not defending your friend when other people get at her, but then you expect all the loyalty in the world? And this is prior to any issue she had with Brandy. Brooke just don't be really defending her as strong as she could. Like I would never even stay at a table or conversation and allow people to speak about a friend the way that Brooke sat and listened to them speak about Brandy. And Brooke ends up trying to compare her not backing Brandy up basically to the fact that Brandy invited Jackie to the cooking class. It does not matter to me. And I don't know if you feel the same, James, because Brooke has sat next to Jackie, been drinking with Jackie, been cordial with Jackie, and same rooms with Jackie. So you can't compare Brandy inviting her somewhere on camera, not off camera, right? So that you could get an apology too with good intentions to her not defending her so many times and letting people just dog her friend's marriage, knowing that will hurt your friend. I did not really like that at all. And Brooke kind of, it seems like Brooke realized that she did look like she was wrong. And I think she knows to a certain extent she was wrong. And then she says that the reason that she did not defend Brandy was because they were not super cool at that time. And Brandy makes a point. So, because we not cool, that means you ain't going to defend me? And she's just like, all right, cool. We good. We good. But I don't know if they're good. I mean, I don't want to see a friendship destroyed, but if I were Brandy, I would not trust Brooke. That's just how I feel. I'm not saying you got to end the friendship, but we definitely would not be as close, if that makes sense. How do you feel?
No, we need to end the friendship. I'm sorry. Um, because the two don't equate. It would be one thing if Brandy was meeting up with Jackie and Jackie was saying the shit that she said about Brooke about her using her daughter for a check and all of this. It would be one thing if Jackie and Brandy were having that conversation and that shit happened. So the checkmate will be, well, when Evelyn talks about you, I'm going to shut my mouth because Jackie was doing the same thing. I
Yeah,
could see if it was that kind of situation,
yeah,
then yes, Brooke would have a point.
she
But
would.
Brooke did not have a point because, once again, like you said, we're filming a TV show. I have to invite her because production is going to make me invite her. That does not mean that I don't think she's wrong for the things that she said about you. That doesn't mean that at all. So I don't know where you're getting that from. But the problem, the reason, I can't even talk because I'm so agitated with Brooke. It's not the same thing. This is apples and oranges. You can't compare those two things. But I agree with Brandy. I agree with Brandy 100% saying also because we are on the outs in that little moment. You don't think that that was a moment to stick up for me and say, well, hey, look, even if I was on bad terms with the person, I was still like, hey, look, I'm not trying to get in the middle of that because we into it right now, but I still love that person. And I still would not want to wish anything ill. Can we not talk about this at the table? And if you want to talk about it, why don't you bring it up with her and see how she feels about it? That's what I would have did if I were Brooke. But we know
Mm,
Brooke don't move like that when it comes to Evelyn. She he and he because Evelyn is best friends with Shawnee and
yeah,
Shawnee is who makes the decisions. So that's where I'm getting that, element from. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. I definitely agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree. Brooke, I will say, I think you learn a lot about your friends when they're upset with you or you have a disagreement or something that could become a
Hmm.
disagreement. How people treat you when they are upset matters just as much as how they treat you when they are not upset. Because that's when you find out who really cares about you and who don't. If somebody takes the time to express something to you respectfully that they have an issue with, would like to see change, or like if you're in a beef, if they are not just in your face and calling you all sorts of names, you know, that says something versus just the low blows and throwing the most painful things in your face, or you know, just not defending you. So I don't. Yeah, the friendship needs to end. I agree with James.
It
Now
just does, yeah. Hmm.
they bring out the fake Dr. Cheyenne, and Brooke is mad. As soon as she comes out, she's rolling her eyes. And they go over all the drama with Cheyenne and remind us of how she got there, all those good things. If Cheyenne came with Jackie, y'all should have knew better. That's all I'm gonna say with that. But they mention Evelyn bringing Cheyenne everywhere and inviting her, and Brooke was okay with that, but tried to just compare it to some stuff with Brandy. I tell you, Brooke is slow. But they mentioned Evelyn bringing Cheyenne everywhere and how she's also inviting Jackie. Go and people are just the issue with Jackie is that she just seems to go off on everybody when they're around each other. Now, Brandy then mentions everyone kisses Evelyn's ass and that everybody is scared of Brooke. And I was mad they didn't let her keep going, or I feel like they edit part of that out or the rest of it out because I feel like she might have read everybody. And I agree with everything she said. Uh, Everybody does kiss Evelyn's ass. They do not hold her accountable. And when she does stuff, they don't come for Evelyn the way that they come for each other. And everyone does act afraid of Brooke because she will fight you. She's not good with her words. She's not good at listening either, but she will fight you. I did notice that energy with the rest of them, and I think that's why Brooke often talks about fighting but never does anything in this season. Okay, this season, because we know Brooke will knock you the hell out. But I feel like she knows ladies are a little bit fearful. Like you can sense that. So I'll just say this. They should not have come for Brandy because she came right back at y'all. I do agree with James. He said this to me off the live earlier. He feels like Brandy could have came harder for the women. I agree after watching it. They don't want to be accountable for anything, but they expect for Jackie, it seems, and Brandy to be accountable, even though they did shit to them. And now I'm like, are y'all jealous of the basketball wives on the show or something? Y'all mad they was able to keep the rings and got the option to stay or go? Like, what is the issue? I don't understand it, but I don't even care to discuss the Evelyn and Cheyenne thing because it just felt pre-produced for me. So I'll give the floor to James.
Um, to be honest, I don't want to talk about it either because to me, the only thing I really want to get into was this whole her and Brooke getting into it. If we can move on to that, I'll talk about that because it didn't make much difference to me. Cheyenne was contracted to be on the show just like everybody else. Was she a main cast member? No, she was just a friend of. And did Cheyenne get on my nerves? Absolutely, she did. So it's like there's nothing more to say now. The shit with her and Brooke, we can move on to that.
Yeah. So they ask about the gay bashing, the alleged gay bashing, because Brooke said to somebody in Cheyenne's camp when she was getting into it with all them people, you look like a boy, but I'll beat your ass like a bitch. She said something, don't quote me, but she said something along the lines of that. Cheyenne's like, you're gay bashing, you're gay bashing. And she says she's not going to change her stance on that because Brooke said it in a way that was meant to be derogatory. And she said it in a way that was kind of like making assumptions about somebody. She also did say something in a way that like attacks someone's appearance. So I will give Cheyenne that. Do I think that it was full on gay bashing? Me personally, no. However, comma, them two get into it, and I don't know how.
It's given they fucked the same man and they're mad at each other for it.
Probably because
I'm
they have
sorry,
no
it
reason to
does.
be this upset.
Right. And when Nina brought it out that they said that they knew each other prior, they just were never friends. That's when I put two and two together because the microaggressions they had toward each other, even before Cheyenne's event, it was kind of like they were given like passive aggressive energy towards each other already. So it makes me feel like, did y'all fuck the same man at the same time? Is that what we get? What is the real backstory here? Because
Hell,
it
or
does not
each
make sense.
other with a man at the same time. All of it's weird.
It's weird. It's like, okay, what are y'all really mad at each other for? Because I do agree that Cheyenne did start it. If I'm being clear, Cheyenne did start it by telling Brooke, "You don't want to raise your hand. You ain't never had no credit card before," and calling her out when Brooke had her hand raised, but she didn't stand up, but nobody else stood up at the same table, but they had their hands up. So for you to single her out, she did start it. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I did not think that Brooke in that moment did anything to warrant that kind of behavior coming from Cheyenne, the resident doctor that we see her as today.
Yeah, I will say that Brooke did, and when they show the clips of what happened at the event, she raised her hand, but everybody else had their hands raised as well. So I can't sit here and say that I fully agree with how Cheyenne got at her, but she did read her a little bit when she said that the less fortunate will always feel away because, Brooke been, that's all I'm going to say. They move on to discuss the Puerto Vallarta trip. And this is where Brandy goes over her feelings on the whole thing where she was chasing after Jackie, throwing plates in the air. She lost her mind. She must have thought she was looking at Jason. She must have had a flashback, but she lost her mind. She did. And she said she was just fed up because everybody did kind of come for her marriage the whole season, including Brooke at some point, So I understand her becoming fed up, and I'm surprised it took this long because the old Brandy from seasons ago, it would have been a problem. She probably would have been spec somebody, but you could tell she's trying to like reserve herself or whatever. But she says that her feelings were hurt, which I can understand why your feelings would be hurt. I don't want to keep talking about the Brandy and Jason thing. But I will say before I move on, I can understand how your feelings would be hurt because they're supposed to be your friends and they throw your pain at you, and you don't expect that from your friends. The public, us recappers, YouTubers, she expects that from us, but not from who she knows. But they asked Cheyenne why in that moment when she stood over Jackie and Cheyenne was standing behind Jackie like she was ready to fight. And Cheyenne swears that she was trying to break them up and put herself between them. Cheyenne, you were behind Jackie. When you say that you are trying to put yourself between two people in a context that is alluding to the fact that you do not want them to fight, you would not be standing behind the one person that you know and are loyal to. You would actually be trying to get between them. Common example that James brings up, as Brandy did when Tammy and Duffy was getting into it. That's what you do when you are trying to come between somebody to prevent them from fighting. That is what you do. You were behind this woman, ready to fight. I didn't like how Cheyenne BS because I didn't mess with that at all. And then other women are saying they saw her like getting her hands ready like she was actually going to fight. Mm-hmm. And Cheyenne then changes her tune and says, but I stood up because I was going to back Jackie up. Which one is it? Are you coming between them, like she said at first, or are you there to back up your homegirl? Secondly, that was her confirming what I said a couple recaps ago where I was like, oh, that's not cool. Like you down with jumping chicks because you confirmed that you was going to back your friend up. But I'm going to tell the truth. My friend, where I'm from, the people I know, you need backup if you about to confront physically two people and you are one person. But if it is you and another person who is about to fight, I am not with that. It's one-on-one. That's how it should be. Call me old-fashioned or old school, whatever it's going to be. But if it's one person and another person getting ready to fight, I'm going to hold your bag and your earrings. And if you start getting your ass beat, I'll pull them off of you or something. But one-on-one is one-on-one. It's just fair. Like, that's how I feel. How do you feel about what Cheyenne said and that whole situation that we just discussed? Do you feel like she was trying to break the book?
No. Now that she said what she did, because you really couldn't tell from the camera. So you really couldn't tell from the angle that because we were so focused on Brandy running up and jumping and security being nervous that Brandy was going to get to Jackie at one point. Because let me tell you something about Brandy. I believe 100%, and since we brought up the Tammy and Duffy situation, 100% that Brandy will do some damage if she get her hands on one of these people. Because she held Tammy back when Tammy was jogging in place and dodging and trying to play football on that balcony. She held Tammy back with one arm and holding Duffy with the other one. And Tammy couldn't get through at all. Like not even, you know how you can slide somebody and punch around them and stuff. Tammy couldn't even do that. So I 100% believe that if Brandy could have got to Jackie, she would have did damage. And that's probably why Cheyenne stood up. But to me, I feel like Brandy could take both of y'all at the same time. I do.
Regardless, though, the rule,
Mhm.
like the regardless, is 101. Like
It is one on no, it is no, I agree with that, but I'm just saying. So I don't know if that's why Cheyenne stood up and got. I was trying to figure that
she
out too.
said
So
she was
what
gonna
did she do?
have Jackie's back in case they fought.
But
And
Jackie don't need no help.
that's
That's
the thing I'm
yeah,
saying though. You doing that, you're going to hit this girl with her. That's not what you here for. So
right.
I
Now,
didn't
I can
like that.
see if not like I said, I can't even see not anybody because Jackie can handle her own. Like she really can. Jackie can handle her
Mm,
own. She don't need you, Cheyenne. And this
mm,
makes me look at you funny because you over here on social media lately trying to be the voice of reason, but you'll throw all that shit to the side on a reality show to go and try to fight somebody or try to jump another woman. Okay, Cheyenne. Okay, I see you.
when
I
she
see.
interviews strong, independent women, someone let me know. Moving on, they ask where Brooke and Jackie are, and it it looked like Brooke could be cordial as long as she getting paid on this show, but she now says that she wants nobody to speak on her daughter who passed away. I think that Brooke had the opportunity to look at some of the comments from people. I think that Brooke had the opportunity at the time of this reunion. I think she was aware of comments and some public opinion of what was aired thus far. And I have seen a lot of stuff online, surprisingly. Usually I feel like an outlier, but a lot of people feel as though she did use her daughter's death to her advantage while on this show. I took a little while to get there. I don't think she 100% did it. I absolutely think that she's grieving. I absolutely think she went through something that no parent should have to go through that's extremely traumatic. But at the same time, I feel like she said in her head, well, shit, let me make lemonade. Some people are like, that's foul. Some things you just don't profit off of. And then other people could be like, well, why not profit off of it? But I don't want to see her making it storylines. And I do think that she's making the right decision by saying that she wants no one to discuss her child. You know, that's honestly the healthiest thing that she should have done. And I stand by what I said. Like after her daughter died, she should not have come on this show. She should have taken a break and then come back to us. And we would have anticipated her return because we knew what she went through. But instead, she rushed her black ass on this show and acted a complete donkey, exploited the living child that she does have, and I'm not here for Brooke no more. I used to love Brooke. Now I don't care for her. Loved Brooke, but yeah, I'm like turned off to her. Is there anything you want to comment?
Let me see here because I was going to say. Here's the thing. I was going to say that I feel she's still valid in how she feels, but at the same time, it's starting to get old now. The lady has apologized to Brooke countless times. You're either gonna forgive her and move on, or you're just going to just be bitter and bring it up every single time. I respect her for saying, "Please don't talk about my child. Please don't, I just want to leave that alone." I respect that, but at the same time, that goes for you too. I don't want to hear from you as well.
Yep. Yep.
That's how
You
I
keep
feel.
getting these tattoos and doing little stuff to honor her. Just don't talk about it on the show.
Hmm.
Just don't, because the moment that you do, they're they're gonna want to discuss that at the reunion. We're gonna want to follow up, but we'll see if she keeps her word because I'm sure she'll be back if asked if they get another season. Now, the ladies move on to discuss Jasiel's boring wedding. I do not care. Um, Nina mentioned the fact the women ate before the wedding. This is why you usually have your reception in a separate area and away from the guest. You don't want them to eat the food, then don't have the food out in front of them. And you was mad that they ate the food because of some damn wedding photos. So you were gonna serve them cold food because it was just out there. There was no buffet warmer. The food was on plates and assortments and shit. So I don't care to discuss this wedding. I just don't. Is there anything you'd like to add, Jen?
I mean, I understand both sides. I understand Brooke being hungry, but you should have got your ass a sandwich or something from Subway and then wait to the food so it could hold you over and all that. It's really ridiculous and silly for y'all to think that that would have been okay for y'all to get some of that food and before the ceremony even started. That was crazy. But at the same time, Josh still didn't show she was mad enough, so I can't be any more upset than she is. That's
Yep.
all I say.
She's like, I was not okay with it. Then why didn't you say that on the show?
Right.
Why didn't you say that? It didn't have to be at your wedding either. I understand not wanting to ruin your wedding with BS, but you have plenty of opportunity to say it. Now you want to say something, and it's like, we don't care. Jocelyn needs to be replaced unless they build a new cast around her, and then after a season, get rid of her or an episode or something. And I'm not saying that because I dislike her. I actually think her and Natasha are really cute and one of the few genuine couples that we've seen on Basketball Wives. But sometimes the most genuine and normal and loving are boring and not the best for TV. And I don't particularly care for her, especially if you're not going to speak out on what bothers you. It's like, why are you here? But you and everybody else business. So
Right.
that's just how I feel about Jaceel, but I don't know. James, stop laughing at me. You know I can't try. I ain't never been more bored. Anyhow, like the video if you haven't already. We still here. Hell.
Right.
They move on to discuss Jennifer and the boy, who are now married today. Oh God, I pray that there is a prenup. I pray it publicly, Lord. Now, Jennifer swears, I'm just going to do the key points because nobody trusts this relationship except for Jennifer. They move on, like, she swears that she does not know and did not know the amount of the restitution. But then she also said, and this is what Evelyn says, she talked fast, that in the very next sentence, she says that there were motions to ask for more money. I can't,
Jennifer.
She then says that he paid it all off. And then she followed that sentence with, he could pay it on his own. But before I get James the floor, James told me before I watched this episode, this ending of the episode, he said, Jennifer is going to play at your intelligence. And I was like, well, yeah, she's always doing something stupid. She ain't got no discernment when it comes to dating. But when she said what she said, the way she said, in the manner and the order of which she said what was said, I was like, Jennifer is smart, and when you're smart, you know your weaknesses. And I feel like she's talking fast intentionally and making no sense. If we break down what she said about this man, you swear you did not know the amount of the restitution, but then you also said prior to that in this reunion that you knew of it and you knew the amount and that he handled it. But then you say you didn't know the amount. Then you say that there were motions to ask for more money. For those who are like, no, there wasn't. Actually, especially in California, and I know because unfortunately I was a victim of crime. And if you request to go to the person who victimized you's parole hearing, or if the state lets them out early on some BS, they will give and the victims of crime the right to either increase the restitution or speak out at the parole, like all types of things like that. Like California tries, I will give them that to hear out their victims and stuff. But the reason I say that is because that's the one thing she said that could have been true. But do I think that they added so much money to where he went from the original 12,000 all the way up to 250,000? No, there has yet to be any paperwork found. I found that YouTuber who is supposed to have had all that information. There is no paperwork that states that his restitution was ever even at the amount that he was alleging it to be. Yes, it was high, but not $250,000 type high. So
It wasn't even it wasn't there has been more documents found, but like you said, it wasn't to that degree. And the motion that wasn't and the go ahead, I'm sorry.
Either way, he has clearly lied to her, and it seems that she is believing it.
Because
She also
this is
said
the
that he paid
thing.
it off and says he could pay for it. Did he pay it off?
Yeah, he paid it off. But here's the thing. He paid off the $12,000 that was out there.
Mm.
I'm gonna say allegedly because they didn't post the receipt yet. But from what I've heard, he paid off the 12,000, which he can do because mind y'all, this man has a whole YouTube channel with I believe over 100,000 subscribers driving around Jennifer's Rolls Royce. So
Mm.
I'm sure that the checks from YouTube, he can definitely pay that off with no problem. I
Yeah, because
believe
it's
her when
set
he said
up
it.
to look like it's Jen and him as a couple, but I can guarantee you she don't need that check, and the direct deposit number on file is his.
Is his. Yep, I
I
believe
can
that as well.
guarantee it. Guarantee it, because unless you're married, they're not going to pay out the check to multiple people
They're
through
not. No,
YouTube. They're not going to do that. It's going to go to the main person, the owner of the channel, the name that's linked to the email. That's what's going to happen. It's just the way it is. But it was just a mess and so many things and holes in what she said. And she said everything back to back to back to back. So I was actually glad when Evelyn, they asked about how she felt. And though a lot of people felt like Evelyn was BSing on the being triggered part, she did make some good points about Jennifer talking so fast and making it hard for people to like understand it. It's almost like she just tries to breeze through it so she doesn't have to discuss it. And that makes it look like she knows that he's done something wrong.
no.
And
What got me is when they said, I don't. When Evelyn was like, for he was, I don't know if it was for the domestic violence. Jennifer said, no, he wasn't arrested for no domestic violence. That's false. Well, what was he arrested for? False imprisonment. I said, ma'am.
so she said he was acquitted of anything domestic. I quoted that because that is the stupidest thing that I have ever heard. If he was acquitted of anything domestic, he would not have had to do time. The only time that you have to do time in the CDC, California Department of Corrections, which is the prisons here, is if you have been convicted, not acquitted. There's nothing that there's nothing. There's just nothing.
He
Okay.
acted
There's
like
just
he was
nothing.
exonerated from all of that, and it's like,
Oh
ma'am.
no. He's not acting that way. I think he's feeding it to Jen for BS. But what pissed me off is that Jennifer then says, because immediately after she makes the statement of him being acquitted of anything domestic, then she goes, Nina asked her, like, what do you mean by that? What did he do time for? What was he convicted for? And Jennifer's dumbass says that he was convicted for false imprisonment. I want to make something very clear, especially as someone who works in mental health and is a current social worker. I want to make it very clear. One of the most common things that happens in domestic violence, especially when the abuser is a male onto a female, is false imprisonment. It's very, very common. It's very common, unfortunately, and it's sad and it's effed up. And it is not what Jen is describing it. Oh, if you say no, don't leave, stay here with me. That is they're not going to count that as false imprisonment.
They're
They're just
not.
not. You
No.
might get a little temporary restraining order and it won't hold in court. They're not going to do that. So Jen is trying to manipulate everybody. False imprisonment is very common in domestic violence. And there's a pattern and a cycle, something called a cycle of abuse. And unfortunately, some people get deep into it because the abusers can be so manipulative of the women that they date. They isolate you, break you down, make you think that they are the expert of anything. And sometimes they will be like, stay in the house, not let you leave, and try to treat the woman like a child and issue some sort of a punishment. Or they really will operate with false imprisonment. Either way, I didn't like that she tried to say, that's what his attorney told me.
That's
Here's
what
the
his
thing,
attorney told you. Did Christian tell you that, Jennifer? Which one
Jen,
is?
even if his attorney told you that, defense attorneys is the shadiest ones out there 9 times out of
Well,
10.
first of all, unless you're his wife, which you weren't at the time, the attorney cannot give you that information.
I want her to take his paperwork and I
Right.
want them to do this on camera or something. Take that man's record because it's public record because he's a felon. Go to another attorney that's not connected to any of you that you don't know. Go to somebody you don't know. Send a friend so they won't even know that you attach with his record and have them analyze that goddamn felon and what went on with Christian's last relationship. I promise you, no attorney would say to you, Jen, that he was acquitted. He was acquitted of nothing. He was convicted. I want her to stop saying this. I am sick of her. And this is where Brooke says all the ladies have been through domestic violence on this stage to some extent, which is true. And you can tell that they're all bothered and it really F's with them, except for Brandy. She was smirking, which I was here for. And Brooke basically says to her, like, the way that you speak about the victim, and I respect Brooke for acknowledging Christian's ex as a victim because she is, otherwise he would not have done time. And to do so much time just for that one charge, you had to have really fucked with that girl.
Case, and I'm actually thinking about pulling up the case because I want to see what exactly was contained in the false imprisonment. Because this seems like, to me, like, I'm gonna be real with y'all, that's a long sentence for that.
Yeah.
That's a long sentence. I know someone who has been convicted of that same crime and served 3 years.
I was just about to say the charge in Cali right now, if you do that, it's like 3 years, and I believe that's like the max if it's your first offense.
If it's your first offense, that is because that was that person's first offense.
But even if it was his second offense, like
he
I
wouldn't have
was
gotten no 10
getting
years.
more than 5.
To me, it was given, and I'm gonna say allegedly to protect your channel. To me, it was given false imprisonment due to some extent of sex trafficking. That's what my assumption was of that.
That's probably where that term acquitted is coming from, because oftentimes people are not always convicted for every crime that they commit. We see it all the time in true crime. Other stuff could get dismissed because there's not enough evidence or too much circumstantial evidence.
And the reason why, and that's a good point to bring it up. That's a good point that you brought, because the reason why I feel like that got acquitted is because they were in a relationship.
Yes. Yes. Which is common, which is very common. And a reason why sometimes they do struggle to convict people in human trafficking, because they will kind of like boyfriend pimping, basically. But
yes, it's because you can't really, even though she was held against her will, which was false imprisonment, even though but it still does not equate. You can't really put the two together if there is proof that there was a relationship. That's why the judge would throw it out, because you can't really prove that, unless it would be one thing if she was underage and it's obvious, but if it wasn't obvious in that circumstance, then they can't really convict to that. So I think that's why I was acquitted. So, but Jennifer,
this was just really annoying to watch.
It didn't make her look good either way.
She was so bad, James. When Brooke says that to her, trying to get her to see the light, and she was so respectful and kind. Jennifer's face, I said to James, y'all, she looked like a 14-year-old being told she can't see her boyfriend no more. Like, you could tell that she was upset. You could tell that she's slightly embarrassed. You could tell that she was trying to do damage control. What are you trying to control? If you just tell the truth about what he did and say you believe he's reformed, hell, we'd accept that more because you got bad choice in men either way. But she tries to move on, does not even acknowledge the fact that the fact that Brooke was like, you're triggering your friends by defending this man and putting down the victim to a certain extent. And this is where Jennifer says, because she had nothing else to give, I'm no longer talking about it. But production and the fans, shout out to y'all and the cast in this situation. You can tell the cast is genuinely concerned for her. And they've been doing interviews left and right with Shade Room on different YouTube channels. Like, Jen and Christian are doing damage control, and there's a reason why they have to do it. But the producers kept the foot on next. And then they played Jennifer, the audio of Evelyn saying that Jennifer has dated scammers in the past, people who have unalived others. That's all I'm going to say. Or murder for hire. Y'all know what it is. But your hips, with wide hips and thick lips. But Evelyn also said that Jennifer has no street smarts and that something's not clicking. And she feel like they just going to tell Jen stuff is going to go one ear out the other. Evelyn's concerned, and I actually agreed with everything that Evelyn said. Every single thing Evelyn said, I agree with. Jen don't have street smarts, but then again, there are a lot of people who have never grew up in struggle, who have grew up privileged, who have no street smarts, and they make better choices than Jen. So I don't. Now I'm starting to think like maybe street smarts doesn't have as much to do with it as it may have in the past. By this point, she's got lots of street smarts. She's dated nothing but felons.
No, the problem is that she gives me the type of person that she feels like she can change a man.
Mm,
Like, and it's very clear because when you think about her dating Tim Norman in his hips and the dude that stole her Range Rover and this dude, they all have crook in them. They all have crook in them. So it
mhm.
makes me wonder, like, to some degree, is Jennifer a crook in some kind of way? Because I feel like you keep attracting this same kind of man. And these men end up doing some of the most outlandish shit that anyone's ever seen on national TV, mind you. So I just feel like I'm starting to look at Jennifer with the side versus the choices and men that she's making because you are what you attract.
This
So
point that you just brought up is golden. And I'm glad that you brought it up because it saves me some talking points. But on a serious note, I definitely agree with what you're saying. This made me look at her differently. Even women who have never been abused, never known anyone to be abused, feel for and are empathetic to others who have, you know,
mhm,
been with abuse, been abused or whatever the hell. The other thing, unfortunately, women leave a man who put their hands on them, and then he can go date whoever the hell else next, and there's no way that that new person will know. So I don't think it's a bad thing to accidentally date somebody who has this record. You never know; he could have changed, but I do not think that Christian has changed. Two things.
I was just gonna say you took
I'm
the words right out of
slightly
my mouth.
I'm slightly concerned for Jennifer just because let's keep it a buck. She is much older than him, and he has a history of domestic violence and
Mm,
to like great extents that have led him to go to prison. So I do worry for her in that aspect. However, to add to James's point, I agree with you. I do look at her with the side eye now because of her lack of empathy and the lack
mhm.
of concern or acknowledgement for the fact that there is a victim. He did
Right.
time. He did something wrong. He is not innocent.
Well, I think it's two things. I think two things could be true at the same time. Here's my thing. I think that her lack of not having any empathy or her, discernment of, well, that's not my problem. I don't have to do anything or I don't have to be anything. There's an oblivious mindset that she has where she's knowing that this shit is wrong, but because he's not doing that to her yet, because I'm sorry, he's already on this show moving funny and because you're so
Yep.
desperate to be with a man, any ounce of man possible that can, do it well in the bedroom, as she said out her own fucking mouth, that I just feel like you're just going to ignore every red flag because he does everything else right. So if he does, it's like a scale. Okay, he does this right, so therefore the shit that is problematic go down here because this outweighs that. And you can't always look at shit like that. Sometimes you have to look at that shit that does weigh down regardless of what it is and the shit that does he does well outside of that. You need to look at everything of this man because you now are going to spend whatever fraction you're going to spend with him of your life. You now
I
need to look
want
at
to
all that.
know if there's a prenup because he's very manipulative and he does
I'm gonna
check
be real.
every box of somebody who is abusive. And something you said that's important is it doesn't start off bad. Like
No.
sometimes it could be good for years and then
Yes.
out of nowhere it takes a turn and he gives that energy. He definitely gives that
Mhm.
energy.
I've
But
been in
Jen
that
thinks that
situation. That's how I know that that can exist. That's why I'm not when y'all don't get me wrong. When I'm talking about Jennifer and when I'm going in on her, it's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's because I want her to wake up and really look at this shit beyond face value because that's what I feel like she's doing. I feel like she's not digging into this situation because every time he has brought you something, it doesn't make fucking sense. And even yourself, you look confused and that's not what you're supposed to be and that's not the look you're supposed to have with someone you're trying to marry. That's what I'm saying. So
that's a good point that you bring up because in every interview on and every time we see him on this show, there's not him making a statement of like, I really, really, love her and I hope that you guys like
Mhm.
beat me up, but stop coming at her. Like he hasn't even tried to take the heat like off of her, which shows that there's just a lack of true care and a lack of true love. His mom also looks shady, sorry. And
Right.
I just don't trust it. But Brandy was chuckling and they noticed her sparks and stuff. And Jennifer tries to come for Brandy and throws Jason cheating in her face. Jennifer, be quiet. Because let me tell you this, Jason may be a hoe who's got a sex addiction problem, but he is not a felon. He's not putting his hands on his wife. He's not got cases, and he did not go to prison for almost a decade for holding somebody against their will
And
under false imprisonment.
he not driving your Rolls Royce. He not driving Brandy's Rolls Royce or anything and making you look stupid on national
If
TV.
Brandy wants to forgive 300 women that he slept with,
That
Jennifer,
is on her.
she could
Man,
choose not to work and let his ass pay for stuff.
exactly. We can't
Because
say the same for you and I, and like Mrs. Best said, we hope there is a prenup. We
we
hope
really
there
do.
is one. I hope you got a prenup and a post-nup. I hope you don't get to collect
I
the
don't
special
think there's a
wives
prenup.
one.
I'm gonna
Hmm?
just keep it real. I
I
do
don't
not
think there
think
is one
there's
either.
a prenup just because he seems manipulative enough to get out of it. And if there is a
Mhm.
prenup, because Jen's so aware of the public, she might still get one. I don't think that shit is covered.
I don't think no. I think a prenup. I think if anything, she doesn't have a prenup. I think she probably got a postnup, which is stupid. Because here's the thing:
Mhm,
he can be entitled. All he needs is 5 years with you, ma'am, and he gets half
mhm.
your shit. So I just really hope that you're smart and locked up that finances, and also make sure that he can't get none of the Rolls Royces he drives on his YouTube channel because he could bring that to court and say, "Look, that's my car. I'm entitled to that car because look, I'm using it for business substantials."
Mm.
You're not being smart, Jennifer. You're just not, and it's just so sad. It really is. It's really sad and really pathetic that you really gonna let this man throw you on the ringer. And you know what? When that day come, I'm gonna be right here looking at you and say, well, Jennifer, this is a lesson learned. You would have thought you would have learned with Tim Norman in his hips when you had to do all these court appearances, getting restraining orders, or the dude who stole your Range Rover. And by the way, did you ever get that back?
I think
The
at this
inquiring minds
point,
wants to
maybe
know.
Jennifer is dating these people for relevance. But the last thing we see is the gifting. I'm not going into it.
You skip over that. That shit was
The
stupid.
gifts were cool. It's literally the last thing. I'm just gonna say the worst gift was Evelyn. We don't care. The best gift was Brooks. Red flag with some shiny skates because she said Jen just skating through these red flags. That was funny. So I will give that to her. But overall, the season annoyed me. Unfortunately, Jen married this man. He could also be the type of scammer that will just stay married to her and do her right and wait and collect the life insurance. You never know. He might do the long wait.
Ah,
Everything about him is shady.
he gives me like he likes instant gratification too much for him to do that. He doesn't give me because he would be a lot smoother in this TV appearance where we wouldn't question if he was going to do Jennifer the long run and wait till she passes. He would be a lot smoother than
Mm,
this. This man gives me instant gratification. He finna hold on as long as he can to obtain that new Rolls Royce SUV she just got, and ducats of this VH1 money that she gonna collect when the show gets off airs and get that royalties. That's what he gives me, and anything else she got in assets. Which, if you Google Jennifer Williams is worth $25 million. So he's going to hold on as long as he can to get instant gratification. He does not give me. He gonna wait till she passed. He just doesn't give me that. I'm sorry. I know fools like that. Trust me, you would never know. They would never let you see it, feel it, or hear it.
mm, mm. Lord, well, that was the reunion. Um, I definitely felt like they let Jennifer get away with too much. If
Mhm.
she's not willing to talk about this, then go away. Go go live off his crypto. But this was the what is this, season 11, I guess, of Basketball
Yeah.
Live. This was the reunions, hot mics, and spicy drama. That's our little recap. We will be back live again tomorrow, you guys, for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And then we'll also be live on James's channel for the Housewives of, oh, no, not Salt Lake City. That's the following day. I will be picking up Queen's Court. I might pick up some Hulu shows that I've been trying to avoid, but people keep requesting them. But Basketball Wives is no more. So we will see if they come back for a season 12. We will see what happens. If they do, I definitely want to see changes. James's link to his channel so that you can subscribe to the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel. It is in the description of the video. Other than that, I'm going to go to bed. And I appreciate you for being here, James.
Thank you for having me as always. I appreciate you.
All right. Good night,
Have a good one.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.